Hey guys, it's Derek from the Olive Oil Co. Today we're doing pork chops with an apple chutney. Let's get started. For this recipe, two products that you will need from our store is the lemon Agrumato olive oil, which not everyone knows what Agrumato means, but basically they cut up pieces of lemon and they crush it with the olives to almost like a fusion. The other product you will need is our red apple dark balsamic. This is another beautiful balsamic that actually can lift any salad. It's a favorite of ours, and we're going to use both of these in our chutney tonight. Now, normally you want to use a baking apple for this. You can use Granny Smith's, but tonight we're using some Honeycrisp apples that we grabbed from Elberta farms. Again, if you haven't checked them out yet, they've got tons of great fresh produce. When I picked these guys up, they had tons of pumpkins and squash. I'm so ready to use those in another recipe too, but let's get to our chutney now. All right, so we have these washed up. What you first want to do is peel your apples. So if you have an apple peeler with a stand, you can always use that, or you can take out your peeler and just keep going around and around. Time to fast forward. Now once you have this, you can always just chop off a little bit of the top, off the bottom, a bit of that skin, and then just basically chop around the core. Get rid of those seeds. And then you've got some pieces that you can work with to chop these up. Now for these, you want to chop these into bigger chunks than you will your onion. So basically you could come at this from about that size, because you want some texture to your chutney. And then once you do that to the rest of your apples, we'll move on to the next step. So we have our heat set to medium with our saucepan. First you want to add a tablespoon of the lemon olive oil. We're just going to let that get up to heat. Our oil is up to temperature, so first we're going to throw in our onion. We just chop that one up. You need half a cup of that. We've also got our apples, so we're going to throw that in too. Get that nice sizzle going on. And you just want to cook this until your onion goes translucent. Alright, so our onion is getting to the point where we want it. As you can see, we're getting a lot of juices from the apple. That's what you want. All that flavor is going to be amazing in this chutney. The next thing is you're basically adding all your other ingredients. So we actually have, in this little cup here, we have ½ teaspoon ground ginger, ¼ teaspoon red pepper flakes, ½ teaspoon of salt, and ¼ teaspoon of cinnamon. So you can go ahead and sprinkle that all in there. You also want to add a teaspoon of grainy or Dijon mustard. Finger in there, it's alright. Also want to add ¼ cup of the red apple dark balsamic. Now we have turned our stove down to medium-low because you're basically going to bring this to a simmer. Oh, that beautiful color. The smells that are coming off this right now, the sweetness of the red apple, the onion, the cinnamon, man, so good. And when you get that little bite of the Dijon and the red pepper flakes, it's going to be divine. So you can basically, as I said, let this simmer. If you put the lid back on, you just want to leave it a little ajar so you can let all the moisture evaporate. And just another note for this, once you have the lid on, you want to cook this down for 35 to 40 minutes. So this is pretty much perfect now. You can see it's getting nice and thick for the sauce. So the next step now is you want to take the back of your spoon and just kind of muddle the apples a little bit. You don't want to squish them too much, but just before you turn it into applesauce, basically. Make sure you turn the heat off, which we've already done. And once this is all muddled, we're basically just going to take this off heat, let it cool while we make our pork chops. Now we're on to the pork chops. I just want to also make a shout out to Old 99 Farm and Nick's Picks Organics. This is where we're getting most of our produce and our meat nowadays because everything there is organic fed. We're just going to get this in our pan now that it's the perfect temperature. Nice little sizzle. All we did with this was we did a simple salt and pepper on top because all the flavors in that chutney, that's going to go beautifully on top of this. We're going to let this cook for about 8 minutes aside, 8 to 10 minutes, and we'll see you in about that time. As you can see, our pork chops are browned, they're beautifully done. This next step that I'm doing is optional. We do have our rosemary Agrumato olive oil, so it's made the same way the lemon oil is, just with rosemary. They crush it with the olives. For this, we're just going to do just a little finish drizzle over top both of these. So that even with the herbs and the sweetness of the apple and everything in the chutney, it's just going to marry so nicely. As well, you want to make sure that these rest for 3 minutes before you plate. It looks and smells amazing. And now it's time for the taste test. Oh, that little hint of rosemary, perfect with that. This chutney, perfect for right now too. You get all those nice warm flavors, the cinnamon, the ginger, you get that little bit of spice from the red pepper flakes. That's perfect. You guys are gonna love this. I hope you enjoy this video. The recipe is gonna be on the website very soon, and hope you enjoyed this. We'll see you guys next time. Now normally you want to use a baking baking type. All right, so we've washed these up. What you want to do is just make sure that you grab these apples from Elberta Farms. Again, if you haven't checked them out yet, they've got tons of great produce. Last time when I picked these up. So our pork chops are done. They're beautifully browned. This next step, start that again. Now with this part, am I basically cutting it up like the onion? It's okay.
A little bigger because they cook faster than onion.
Okay. So something like that.
Bigger. Yeah.
Like big chunks?
Yeah, because you want it with texture.
Okay. We have our rosemary fused olive oil. Do it lower then.
Do you know where to put it?
Just a little over.
No, I mean like hold the bottle.